you today and share this experience. I'm John Roddy, functional diagnostic nutrition practitioner, holistic health coach, and transpersonal counselor.
And I'm Dr. Laura Enfield, naturopathic doctor and acupuncturist, and we are the co-founders of Radiant Health Living. John and I started working together with patients about 2 years ago. And when we started working with patients, it was from a diagnostic perspective. So what that means is the patient would come in, we'd hear their health history, we'd figure out if we want to run labs, we'd come up with a treatment plan, including diet, lifestyle, and supplements, and send them home and hope that they did it. And we would have them come back in a month. So what happened was the more that we were working with people, we realized there was a missing piece. People weren't always going home and doing these things. And so the missing piece was the inner game. We found that as working together as a team with the patient, working on lifestyle, dietary changes, and including supplements, and then also addressing the inner dialogue and the blockages, which is the inner game, a greater and more effective transformation was taking place. Just as you would go to the gym and hire a personal trainer to help you with your training regimen, we are your personal trainers for your health regimen. We are here to help you help yourself achieve greater health, radiant health. We're changing the way that we practice healthcare so that you get the support that you need in creating your desired outcome. And we want to express to you today that you can awaken to your power of choice, and this leads to living a life of radiant health. When you realize your power of choice, you're empowered to choose healthy habits. And in our experience, even taking baby steps can result in significant improvement. The more that you see these little improvements, the more you choose healthy habits, and you start stepping into living a radiant life. We do believe that healthcare is part of the awakening process, and from our perspective, healthcare equals self-care, which equals self-love.
What is Radiant Health Living? Radiant Health Living is awakening to my highest potential. It is about my own unique personal journey rather than a destination. It's about me waking up to the power of choice and recognizing I am the one that chooses the healthy habits which lead to a healthy result and a healthy outcome. When I'm living radiant health, I experience physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual health and well-being. I take personal responsibility for the health I'm experiencing in my life and the choices that I'm empowering myself to create in experiencing a new result. I choose a self-care approach to my health and well-being. My mindset begins to shift from focusing on solution versus problem and progress versus perfection. I become a better version of myself. My life becomes a living expression of my joy. I begin to look good and feel good about myself and my life. And in that, I have more love to share and to contribute to the things that matter to me most and the world at large. I have an abundant energy to meet and greet my day, to pursue my passions and my dreams, and I have a developing sense of purpose. I live a life of inspiration, knowing that my contribution is also a contribution to the whole. My mindset becomes more positive. I begin to experience a sense of genuine love, happiness, appreciation, and gratitude in every area of my life. My mind, body, and spirit live in harmony with each other. And when I'm living radiant health, I'm a positive example, not only for myself, but for everyone around me, my family, my friends, my co-workers, and the world at large.
Part of becoming a positive example of radiant health is addressing the 5 pillars. The first pillar is diet. And we recently completed a 21-day group cleanse. And the exciting thing for me with this cleanse was seeing a shift towards self-awareness at the end. The participants recognized that they had the choice in how they feel. They had the choice about if they wanted to experience bloating, constipation, brain fog, fatigue. All of those symptoms could be positively affected by the food choices that they were making. So a cleanse is a great way to clear the slate and start recognizing how you feel. And we also see that doing a cleanse is sometimes too overwhelming for people. So perhaps starting with one food and eliminating that one food can make a difference. We recommend starting with wheat, dairy, or sugar. When you start eliminating these, inflammation starts decreasing and you start feeling better physically, mentally, and emotionally. The second pillar is sleep. Without enough sleep, we would literally go crazy. So, I always recommend to my patients going to bed, I always recommend that every hour of sleep you get before midnight is worth 2 hours of sleep after midnight. The reason being is that your body is repairing and restoring during that time. And research backs this up. It shows that neurotoxins are being neutralized, cells are dividing, tissues are synthesizing, and growth hormone is being made. Our body is literally being regenerated. So a good rule of thumb is to get a minimum of 7 hours of sleep per night. And if you get to bed by 10, that's awesome too. Movement is the third pillar. And exercise is the #1 cure for depression. It's free, it's non-toxic, and you can start today. Getting some type of movement is crucial to living a radiant life. We've been given these bodies as a form of expression. They're made to move, to be active, so we need to get out there and do it. So I'm going to meet you guys outside after church for a 30-minute walk. We recommend 30 minutes of walking 5 days a week is a great way to get that movement in. And the fourth pillar is stress management. So exercise is one great tool for stress management, and meditation is the second great tool for stress management. And the great thing is that we have some excellent tools here through the foundation. We have the I Love Me meditation, which is now available as a recording, and we have the Embrace of Acceptance, which is available as a class, so you can very easily get started today. We recommend even just 10 minutes a day of meditation can start helping decrease that stress level and helping your body function optimally. And finally, the last pillar is nutrients. We do try to get all of our nutrients through diet. However, it's virtually impossible to get all of them. So we do recommend adding supplementation in. Getting vitamins, minerals, and herbs will help with the progress of your recovery. However, if you're not including working on lifestyle changes, sleep, exercise, and that inner game, supplements aren't going to make much of a difference. Speaking of the inner game.
So let's talk about the inner game. Changing your mindset, changing your health. When working with others and I'm working on the inner game with them, what I'm really working with them with is I'm really working with them in releasing, transforming, and eliminating all of the self-limiting beliefs, judgments, behaviors, and perceptions around what they really feel is possible for them to achieve. First of all, in relationship with themselves, and then second, in relationship to their health. While Laura and I were working together, and as we kept going through the intake process, our practice began to shift in how we were working with others. Because the deeper and deeper we got into the intake process with patients, the more and more questioning and the deeper and deeper we got, we kept coming to an underlying theme with everybody. Everyone wanted to feel loved, and everybody wanted to feel supported in moving into a direction that would allow them to feel more self-love. So if healthcare now is a reflection of self-care is now a reflection of self-care, which is a reflection of self-love, then it really comes down to how much do I love myself? And if my current level of health is an example of how much I love myself, then the most important thing available to us right now is developing the mindset of self-love. As we move into a deepening relationship with this perspective, it no longer becomes about what I need to do, what I should do, what I have to do, and what another is doing. It really becomes about a process of coming back into a relationship with myself and loving what is present, so then I can move in a transforming relationship with myself. I can begin to challenge my old thought patterns, self-judgment, beliefs, perceptions, actions, and behaviors, which then can now lead me to experiencing a new desired outcome and a new result. I can then come into a relationship with releasing, I'm too old, I don't have enough time, how am I going to do it? And it's too late. As we begin to wake up to and challenge these beliefs with love, we recognize if I can embrace this aspect of myself with love, then I can begin to change, grow, and expand. Because anything that is exposed to love changes. It transforms. So as we begin to move towards creating new healthy habits, which lead to new healthy results, the question becomes, what do I believe is possible for me? Do I believe I actually can have it? Do I believe I'm worthy? And how can I actually allow myself to receive this and allow it into my life so I experience a new living result? We are all powerful creators. And part of being a powerful creator is being present with the inner dialogue that I'm communicating to myself with on a daily basis. I begin to wake up to, how am I speaking about my health? If I'm speaking about what I don't want, what am I creating? More of what I don't want. Exactly. So then as I move into a positive self-inner dialogue with myself around creating healthy habits, I begin to move towards a very deep practice that we've also been given. I can praise the good that's present and praise it. So if I recognize that something is different, I recognize I have the power and choice to choose and do something different. In order to create healthy habits, a new lifestyle, improving my energy, losing weight, all of these results are contingent on me choosing new thoughts, feelings, behaviors, and actions, and congruent behaviors that go along with it that allow me actually to receive the result I want, which then allows me to feel a deeper sense of self-love with me. I begin to feel good about being me. The inner game of Radiant Health is about cultivating a deeper level of self-awareness, learning to listen to my body, tuning in and trusting the feedback that I'm getting, and allowing myself to follow it. Because what may be good for another may not necessarily be good for somebody else. A simple 3-step process in cultivating a self-love approach to Radiant Health. Allow yourselves right now to become present. Close your eyes for a moment. Become aware of what you're consuming and its effect upon you. Not only your food, but your thoughts, feelings, behaviors, relationships, and environment. Each of these has an immediate effect on your health, vitality, and well-being. Notice, how is it affecting your energy? How you're feeling? Your body? Your mood? And your mindset? And finally, what is the result or outcome you're experiencing from this choice. You may now open your eyes. As I learn to trust the wisdom of my body, I begin to wake up to my power of choice. Choosing to use the energy of love enables me to awaken to a complete transformation in my conscious awareness. This then empowers me to create and achieve radiant health in any and every area of my life.
What do you believe is possible for you? Do you believe you can have radiant health? Do you believe you are worthy? Think about the 5 pillars: diet, sleep, exercise, stress management, and supplements. Choose one of these areas you would like to make an improvement. And then what is one action step that you can take today to make that improvement? We'll be coming back in a few minutes for a Q&A, so we'll be available to address any questions that you may have around this.
And we would love to leave you with one final thought. Choosing to take responsibility for yourself and your health is choosing to take responsibility for the only choice you can guarantee. Radiant Health, your power of choice. Choose your best self, choose your best health. Thank you.
Thank you.
One question.
Okay, Brian, you have a
So, I have 8 questions, but I'll just ask one.
just one, please.
So, what's your favorite? What do you think the most important supplement is to take?
Oh gosh, that's a tough one because I have about 4 or 5,
Okay.
but probiotics are probably one of the best ones because as we age, the bacteria in our gut starts decreasing, and so probiotics do so much for our overall health. Sometimes I think it's more important than a multivitamin. And then B vitamins are really important, and fish oil. So those are top 3. Oh wait, and magnesium. Yeah, those are my top ones. Yeah, so you're welcome. Rochelle?
So the probiotics, you can usually eat yogurt. That's a good supplement for the probiotics, or is there a lot more in it?
Yeah, so yogurt can be great if you are not intolerant to dairy, or if you can tolerate dairy. A lot of people have problems with dairy, it just depends. The other thing with probiotics, like through the food sources, yogurt, kombucha, kefir, it's a good way to get them, but with a supplement, you really jack up the amount that you get. So a supplement can just increase the level. Let's go to this side. Eddie.
I just wanted to add that I got 2 really great probiotics from you, and
Okay.
they were extremely wonderful and have supported me a lot. So.
Great. So if you didn't hear that, Eddie said she got 2 probiotic products from me that she's noticed makes a difference. So just to address that, there's a lot of probiotics out there in the store. They're refrigerated, they're not refrigerated, they're liquids, they're pills. I can't really tell you the efficacy of most of them. What I do know is the products that I carry do have the amount of bacteria that they say in there, and they are effective. Sometimes the over-the-counter ones, they don't have any bacteria, so you're paying a lot of money for nothing, or they might have less. So that's just one thing to consider. Linda, you have a question?
Yes, my desire for sugar has decreased somewhat, but my desire for carbs is very, very steady and can get a
I mean, with regard to carb cravings, one of the things that we focus on with actually everybody, because it tends to be pretty like an epidemic in our society, is stabilizing blood sugar levels. It's really important, not only for general health, but in, let's say, it's a precursor to a lot of the biomarkers for degenerative disease. So the more that we can balance blood sugar, the more we can actually create a healthy metabolism, which is going to lead to a longer and healthier life. So with regard to whenever somebody's coming to me with, let's say, sugar cravings, carb cravings, I'm always pretty much thinking blood sugar issues. How can I stabilize blood sugar issues? First thing, meal frequency. Most of us, how many people here actually have consistent meal frequency on a daily basis? Raise your hand. This is like 3 meals a day, roughly around the same timing, and with snacks in between if you start to notice your mood fluctuate. How many people are left? It's starting to change. Yeah, about 3-4 people in the audience. It tends to be, a very important, issue. So balancing your blood sugar, first easy thing to do is actually meal frequency. 3 meals, relatively consistently throughout the day, as well as snacks, in different parts of the day. If you notice your energy drop, your mood drop, or you notice the cravings come on. The second piece that always catches my attention is protein intake. Okay? Because protein intake is going to have a greater stability in balancing your blood sugar levels than, let's say, more carbs. You're not necessarily craving carbs, and you're not necessarily craving sugar per se. You're really craving blood sugar stabilization. So what I would suggest with you is my mom. By the way, I told my mom this over and over. So.
Will you never hear it from me? I know how
Here we go again. So part of working with blood sugar, Mom, is meal frequency. And I would always, especially with you, saying a little bit about your personal history and background, is a more consistent, substantial amount of protein versus, let's say, carbs at every meal. And then if you are having snacks in between, many people go for nuts, or they go for fruit, or they go for Snickers, or chocolate, or some other things that go along with that. Oreos. As part of having your snack, even if you're going to have some chocolate, if you have some chocolate and a piece of protein with it, you're going to stabilize your blood sugar. So that's the thing to think of. Is so whenever you're having a snack, make sure you're also having a consistent protein source with it, because that's going to give you a greater sense of stability, reduce cravings, and also reduce that sugar.
And it decreases the stress that you're adding to adrenal glands.
Absolutely.
Because the adrenals, the cortisol affects blood sugar as well. It's very tightly regulated. So if we're having that stressor of feeling hungry, then cortisol is going to increase. So having the regular meals and if needed the snacks will really help adrenal function.
And to follow up on that, that's a great point, because when people are craving sugar or carb, your body is actually in a stress state rather than a craving carb or sugar state. So your body actually is craving the carbs or the sugar to reduce the cortisol levels in my body, so I feel a little bit calmer. So it's a good thing to think about.
Yes.
And also with carb sugar cravings, I'd also see how much water you're drinking too, whether or not you're being hydrated as well. Another question?
Yeah, I have a question regarding orthodox diet and vegan. So what I have for lunch is usually a really high protein bar. No sugar in it. Well, maybe a little bit.
Did you say a protein bar?
Protein bar has 20 grams of sugar. 20 grams of protein. Not sugar. I think all of that, 20 grams of protein.
Right.
And pretty good ingredients in it because it's like a whole food meal for me. Is that satisfactory, or is there something else I should add, like some lettuce?
Is that? If I hear you correctly, you're only having a protein bar. That's it for you.
Generally, I have a couple of protein bars.
not necessarily getting the whole nutrients that are available. So as far, I can speak to the amount of protein, that's a fair amount of protein. So that part is good, but trying to get as many whole fruit foods into your diet is going to be just a little bit better for the diet and for your body.
And for your body as well. And then I'm also questioning what type of protein is the protein bar made of?
Nuts. I don't know, I don't know.
Yeah. So then what I hear you say, you have like nuts for breakfast, protein bar for lunch.
They're not just nuts for breakfast. Nuts, blueberries, fruits, things like that.
Yeah. Okay, so generally when I'm looking at any meal, I'm looking at it having a substantial protein source, preferably whole food. This is what we see common with a lot of people too. Whenever they eat, many people are eating, let's say, one of the macronutrients. The main macronutrients are protein, carbs, and fats. So you want to think about it that every meal that you actually take in, whether it's a meal or a snack, ideally it's important to have protein, a carb source. When I'm saying carb source, some people think brownies and cookies, but I'm thinking something very differently. So a whole carb source would be preferable.
Vegetables, whole grains is what he's talking about.
Whole grains, some fruit, but really having every meal that you consume have all of the main three components. So we see a lot of blood sugar, issues, like what Linda's talking about. She's looking for something more substantial. She's a vegetarian, so she's working with a limited diet. So what I would work with you, honey, is really how can I encourage, let's say, greater food variety at each meal. So if I'm looking at that protein bar and it's got 24 grams of protein and that's your lunch, I'm like, okay, where's the carb source? And then we're also looking at where's the fat source. So as a general rule, if you can make those three components combined with everything at each meal and snack you're consuming, you're going to be doing very, very well.
I think that sounds pretty good. That's organic brown rice protein, organic liver syrup.
So we can talk about that after the service too.
Oh, I thought you had.
Yeah, you can show it to me and I'll answer all your questions.
Sir.
I got one question that you mentioned fruits, because that's usually my snack. And a lot that I've read says that fruits, if they're whole, have enough fiber in them that it's actually like time release. The carbohydrates actually are slower to absorb, so you don't get that spike. So the glycemic index is not really high in fruits, which are ideal on that.
So yes, that's true, but also I like to have a protein as a snack too, because it's going to slow down the uptake of that sugar. The fiber helps, but depending also on what fruit you're choosing, there's more or less of that available fructose, sucrose, glucose, So the protein helps. Like a good snack that I like is sliced apples with some nut butter, because then you're getting the fat, you're getting the protein, and you're getting the carb through the fruit.
Yeah, and then when I'm having food, sometimes what I like to have is, like say, sliced apple or whatnot with some raw cheese. And then I would experiment. I would see how my body feels with just the fruit, and then also then how does my body feel with some fruit and a protein source with it, and see if you notice any difference. Because, like what we mentioned earlier, everybody has unique biochemistry, and your health needs are very unique to you. So when we're actually giving or let's say dispensing some of this information, it's very general. However, what may work for you may be very different than what may work for Tom. Christina.
So I recently was reading a research where someone had talked about doing a smoothie or Vitamix or juicing. All of those will they break up the fiber so much that then you still get that jolt of that sugar jolt instead of getting the time release like Tom was talking about. Is that true, or can you speak to that at all in terms of is that really?
So you're thinking about juicing more, or also doing the high carb blenders?
Yeah.
You know what? I honestly don't know exactly, but if you if you have a smoothie with a protein, that's going to help slow it down. Adding a little bit of fat, like you could add some nut butter or coconut butter or avocado. Thank you, Eric. Avocado and or like the thicker coconut milk in a can. So that's, you know, the goal is really, like John said, to try to have the protein, the fats, and the carbs all in your meals, because that's like more complete.
Thank you.
And another thing to follow up with that is whenever we're making, let's say, smoothies and juices, and if you're noticing that in some of the studies that you see, say, okay, well, it breaks down the fiber source and it's got, let's say, more sugar in it, so my body, whenever we're drinking calories, our bodies process it much different than whole food calories. So that's something to keep in mind, especially in relationship to dropping a few extra pounds. There's a really big difference on our metabolic, functioning and rate. So you can look at, okay, how much food calories am I drinking versus how much food calories I'm actually consuming. And with regard to smoothies and juices, I would then ask yourself an experiment. Everything that I'm putting in this Vitamix or NutriBullet, or everything that I'm putting in my juicer, look at the quantity and the amount of content in relationship that if I put this on a plate and ate it, you'll see the difference in how we break it down. And in many cases, our bodies wouldn't necessarily consume that amount at that one meal. So that's something to keep in mind. Because you can oversaturate your body with, let's say, food and nutrients, and that can be just as stressful as not eating. So it's just something to keep in mind. And I'd always pay attention. What's your body? What's your feedback? Do you feel nourished, relaxed, grounded, and feel like you have blood sugar stability? Or do you feel like a little, tired and wired, or, I'm noticing, my mental clarity is not there and I'm not feeling as stable? Listen to your body's feedback. It's the greatest instrument you have.
Lonnie?
Does diet have anything to do with allergies?
Yes. Diet has something to do with allergies. A lot of times. I see it quite regularly in my practice, in our practice. When we make changes, shifts in our food choices, a lot of people's allergies will go away. Or it's like the inflammation level starts decreasing in the body, so that then maybe the inhale, those pollens don't affect us as much. Makes sense? And sometimes I do food sensitivity testing, so then you can see what your body is reacting to and start eliminating those foods, and that can make a huge difference as well. Marcus?
Do a lot of your patients react to corn and soy products?
Sometimes, yeah. I notice wheat more and dairy more, and then sometimes there's really weird foods. Like I had a patient react to bananas,
That's unfortunate.
So everybody's everybody's a little bit different. Yeah, that's why it's kind of trial and error with, like John said, not what works for me isn't necessarily going to work for all of you. It's, our bodies are unique. Yeah.
Joanne?
I've heard that magnesium, like taking straight magnesium, can be hard to absorb. I don't know if that's true, but I know I'm low in magnesium, so I'm wondering if that's true, or something you can take it with that helps you absorb it.
Well, getting it through food is a great idea, but then it depends on the form. So one form that's really bioavailable and absorbed is the magnesium bisglycinate. So your body can take that up a little bit easier than some forms. Like there's usually the chelates. The forms of chelates of the minerals are a little bit better too. So.
Can you get those? Is that like a supplement?
Yeah, they're all supplements. Yes, those are supplements. Yes.
Yeah, and then if you're also having challenges, let's say absorbing magnesium internally or through supplemental form, you can always experiment with topical magnesium oil. which can be very effective, as well as Epsom salt bath. Yeah. You can do Epsom salt baths where you're getting this, what is it, the sulfate, mag sulfate, or you can actually now, they have over the counter, they have magnesium chloride flakes, which are the same product they use in magnesium oil. And plus, when you get out of this, magnesium chloride bath, your skin is like silky smooth. It's not as drying as the sulfate. So that's another way to actually, supplement it into your body.
Devin?
If you do a cleanse or a fast, how do you mitigate the body's stress response?
Good question.
So I don't have people do fasts. When we're doing a cleanse, what we're doing is, the one that we're doing most frequently is it's 2 protein shakes a day and then 1 regular meal with healthy snacks. So our cleanses are never about food restriction. So I encourage people to, when they have their protein smoothie, that they're adding some veggies, they're adding avocado, they're adding some coconut milk or hemp milk or something like that, so that they're getting more protein or more calories through the meal, and then also having healthy snacks during that time, because we do not want the stress response to kick in, for sure.
And cleanses are really popular, or fasts, or juice fasts, or all those different detox methods. And your body knows how to detox naturally. It's more about giving your body what it needs so it can detox in the way that it needs to first. And then if you choose to, let's say, do a fast or a detox or any other, let's say, purgative or elimination of toxins from the body, there's ways to make some adjustments to limit some of the effects. However, you're putting your body into a stress response. So what I would encourage you, if you are going through something like that, that let's say isn't, led by somebody or being supervised, reach out to us and we can always help you with whatever you're choosing to mitigate the stress response on your body as best you can. Because each fast is different too. Because when we talk about fast and detox, in this day and age, especially in California, that can mean a variety of things. Tommy?
I just recently came across a supplement I wasn't familiar with, MSM. It's supposed to be good for a lot of things. Do you guys use it in practice?
I don't use it regularly, but it's definitely a great source for sulfur. So if you have a problem metabolizing sulfurs, it's a good way to get that in. Also, sometimes it's in the joint and repair products, so it's definitely a great product. It's just not something that I use a lot. And Aaron?
Tagging on with that, collagen and other kinds of joint things, is that something that should be supplemented or only able to?
Collagen can be great. In fact, there's a lot of new protein powders that have collagen in them, and I just actually gave one to a patient that has fibromyalgia, so a lot of that body aches, joint pain, fatigue, and I'm noticing it's making a big difference for her in conjunction with some of the other things that we do as well. So it's a great way to just support your body.
And to follow up with that, I love collagen. That would be like one of my top supplements. Food-based collagen, you can make bone broth. It's amazing. Anybody with joint health, immune conditions, digestive functioning, any metabolic, let's say, dysfunctioning, collagen is one of the most nutritious things you can actually take in your body. And like Dr. Laura said, now they sell it over the counter as like a protein source or supplement to put in smoothies or soups or anything you want, porridge, anything. And the great thing about collagen is it's a complete protein source. However, it's a complete protein source that's anti-inflammatory. So you're actually getting the components and the protein components that rebuild, re-nourish, and rejuvenate, let's say, cartilage, bone, tissue, and cell functioning. And it makes great face masks.
Claudia?
I have one thing I thought it would be great to address is just the controversy over good fats versus bad fats, because that's something I learned in working with both of you. But one point that I thought was fascinating I learned from John was that
I was saying I still was craving sweets after a meal, and the comment he made was that that tells you that I wasn't getting enough protein. So once I increased the protein, now I don't crave having that topper of sweet after a meal, and that kind of ran in our family, so it's a blood sugar type issue. But anyway, I thought that was interesting. And also I can say that prior to the cleanse, I was no poster child for a cleanse whatsoever. And the support that you receive from John and Laura and the way it's put together makes it so much easier than anything else, other cleanse I've approached before in the past or tried to do and I was successful on. I learned a ton from all the materials you put out. So my own testimony, and other moms heard from.
Thank you. So I actually have a question to pose to you. Did you all pick one of the 5 pillars?
Yeah.
How many? Let's see your hands. Is there something you can start with today?
Yeah.
Yes.
Awesome. Who's going to meet me out back for a 30-minute walk? All right, we got it. Good. Yeah. Arnold, do you have a question? Or you're going to meet me out back?
Hopefully this is the foundation of all what you guys are doing. How do your clients pay for your services?
That's a great question.
Cash, check, or card?
There's no insurance companies or Medicare connected, they don't cover you guys?
So I don't bill insurance. What I do is give a super bill to my patients that have insurance. Medicare, no. They don't cover naturopathic doctors. Yeah, unfortunately.
Some of the other like Anthem Blue Cross. And
Sometimes they do. It depends. The coding is the same, so sometimes it is covered. Yes.
The one thing that I've seen covered with certain clients is, I guess there's different, how would you call it, with your company, they give you a health fund, and
Yeah.
you put money into the health fund, and then we can invoice out for,
Yes.
for that. You can
Correct.
use it any way
Yeah.
you choose.
Like
Which is,
flex spending or health savings account.
Generally, they only cover pain, so if you can bring it back to pain.
Not for flex spending or
not
health
for
savings.
flex spending, it can
Is
cover
that
it.
For regular insurance, if they cover acupuncture.
That's for acupuncture.
You know, they
We would love to see more coverage care. You know, as I was coming in, I was actually thinking of that question today, because we live in a healthcare model right now where, yes, you can buy into healthcare. Yes, you can seem relatively inexpensive or expensive. And yes, you receive big pharma.
It's
Period.
disease care, it's not health care.
You know, so hopefully with a greater level of healthcare practitioners changing the way they practice, we'll begin evolving and awakening to a more healthcare-based model that focuses more on creating health, preventing health, rather than contributing to the disease-based model we're currently living in.
Kaiser does have a directory for it. They do have some chiropractors and some acupuncturists, but I don't know how you get on there.
Right, so that's under more of the HMO. So those practitioners have a contract with the insurance company. So I would be, like for example, I'm out of network, so you have to have a PPO coverage. Yeah. And Kristen, you've been waiting patiently.
Oh, thank you. I just wanted to ask what programs you guys have set up. I know I've seen a couple things on Facebook, like a 4-week, 6-week cleanse, or what would be like a couple of packages that are available?
Well, a couple packages that we have available right now, we've really changed the way that we're practicing right now, and we're still in the evolution of it. Like we mentioned a little bit in our talk today, we've been working one-on-one with people for over 15, 20 years, and as we've evolved, we were seeing people one-on-one, and we eventually have a follow-up every 3 or 4 weeks later. What we found in that process is people weren't receiving the level of care and support they really needed, and the accountability or lack of accountability that was really showing up. And it really came down to people didn't really know. So part of how we've changed how we practice is when we're working with clients, we see a client every 2 weeks now. So they may see Dr. Laura for part of the healthcare practitioner aspect of it, treatment plan, how we're going to address what you're working with. You'll see me 2 weeks later. How are we implementing it? How are we implementing it? How are we making the changes? How can we move through the mental, emotional, blocks that are preventing you from making this change? Because bottom line, we were not seeing the results and the outcomes we really wanted to see in patients. That's where it really came down to. And rather than pointing the finger out there on the patient, or why aren't they doing this, or why aren't they doing this, we had to look at the mirror of what was showing up and say, hey, how can we change the level and way we practice so we can create the results that these people want to experience? So to go into your question, right now, currently, we work with people in a 3-month or a 6-month commitment that goes through the process of creating the health result, change, or outcome that you really want to experience. Because we want you to see the results you want to see for yourself. We want you to feel good about you, and we also, we're passionate about what we do, and we want to see the change. So we're constantly shifting and focusing our practice on how can we make it better to really serve you. So, and then the other packaging program that we have is the Radiant Health Cleanse, which we do at least 2 times a year. And and that's it for right now. Does that answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
Ken?
Can people start changing their diet today by buying some aquaponic with their own lettuce?
Yes.
So, all of you who chose the pillar of diet and nutrition, our philosophy is to choose the best that's available. Whenever organic is available and consumable, choose organic. And after the service today, Ken and Jessica, for those of you who don't know, run an amazing organic aquaponics farm, and their produce is amazing. If you haven't had it yet, give yourself an experience of trying some and buying some. Give yourself an experience, go out to the farmer's market, get another head of lettuce, see the difference. Amazing stuff, so yes. Pillar 1. The most important.
Brian, did you?
Yes. First of all, preface my question, I want to thank you for really a wonderful, awesome presentation, both of you. Really terrific. And my question is, when you're making this choice of a lifestyle change for better health, is it helpful to also have activities in your life that are supportive of maintaining that choice? For instance, maybe coming to a church that's uplifting, or being around people that are uplifting, who support that choice, that kind of thing. Is that a good idea?
Because if you're living Radiant Health, you're experiencing physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual health. And we get a lot of that here. So thank you all. We really appreciate the opportunity today. If anybody else has any other questions or feedback, you can see Laura and I after the service. Thank you all again.
For more information about the Metaphysical Church of Enlightenment or the Rodin Foundation, please go to our website at www.rodin.org. If you have been inspired by the revelations shared in these podcasts, please donate to the Rodin Foundation's ongoing efforts to help others help themselves at www.rodin.org/donate.